Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to today's Advisicon Academy training. My name is Amanda Carlson. I'm the marketing coordinator here at Advisicon. We're a group of authors, teachers, consultants, and technologists offering training in the Microsoft technologies, project management, and methodology. With attending any of our training sessions, we offer PDUs as we are a registered education provider with the Project Management Institute. At the close of today's session, I will give some instructions on how to claim your PDUs and how to get in contact with us for any questions you may have. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few things so you know how to participate in today's event. Please review the control panel that should be on the top right of your screen. The audience is muted during this session, so in order to ask questions, you'll need to submit them in the questions window of the control panel. This webinar will be recorded and uploaded onto the Advisicon YouTube channel for those who could not attend today's session live. Please note that any questions or comments submitted will not display in the recording, and nor will any of your personal information be shared. And it's now my pleasure to introduce today's instructor, Advisicon Senior Project Advisor, Richard Wentworth. So I will hand this over to him and we can get started.
Very good. Thank you, Amanda. And welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Looking forward to being with you today for the next, I don't know, a little less than 30 minutes. And talk about SharePoint modern sites. Something that I actually like a lot, and hope you'll find some of the sites and such that I've put together throughout this. Hope you'll enjoy the presentation. Maybe you'll learn a few things depending on who's on the call. Whether we have some experts or some people that are looking for a preview of what they are moving forward. So I think with that, what we'll do is just to kick things off. I always like to ask the audience a little poll, put that up. So in a minute, I'm going to just go ahead and launch a poll that I'll ask you to fill out. And it's going to be basically just looking for an idea from the audience of everyone's familiarity with the new modern UI experience for SharePoint. So I'm going to go ahead and just open that poll up here in a second, and we'll leave that poll open for about a minute or so. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that poll now. So look for people to go ahead and vote and let me know what your level of familiarity is. Got some responses coming in so far. Got about 43%, 47-50, is about 50-50 split so far between somewhat familiar and never seen it before. So that's good. Hopefully I'll be able to give you some nuggets out of this presentation that we go through. For those of you that have never seen it, so you'll see a lot of value, and then as well as people that have somewhat level of familiarity with that. So that's very good. Go ahead and close the poll here right now. So very good. All right, well, thank you very much for those of you that participated and gave me that input. So without further ado, let's jump in. So classic SharePoint sites versus the modern look. Which one do you like? Which one do you want? I don't pretend to be a very creative person. I leave that to our wonderful marketing team, being able to design lots of fun things. But in terms of when I look at what they've done with the modern UI experience with SharePoint, they've sure as heck made it a lot easier to build these sites, and they look much better than the other ones. So, I spend my day as a project advisor and PMO lead here at Advisicon dealing with Microsoft project sites, as well as SharePoint sites. So, I see sort of a mixture of both. I see a lot of the classic and the modern. And, fundamentally, the sites are the same. They are all meant, the purpose of them is basically give you a place to store, organize, share, and access information. But, when you look at the way things are designed now with the modern UI, it makes things a lot cleaner, a lot easier. I'm going to walk through a series of benefits with a new modern experience as we run through here. So I don't know about you, but I sure as heck like the one on the right. So we'll go through that and we'll see what else is in store for modern UI and what you can do with it. So real quickly, why are modern sites better than the classic? First of all, more visual. You can tell right away, much more interesting to look at, better visuals, you can design them. You don't need to necessarily have a third-party apps to incorporate to beef up your design, or possibly have graphic designers or outsourcing that work to make the sites better. Big piece. Another big piece, better mobile experience. Probably some of you on the call maybe have probably had issues before where you're trying to utilize a SharePoint app and access the information via another device. And sometimes the classic design sites make it a little bit more difficult to view all the information. So with the new modern UI, the mobile experience is much better, and basically it's what you see is what you get. So if you see what the experience looks like using a browser on your PC in the office or your laptop, you're going to pull it up on your phone, you're going to see an experience very similar. So Microsoft's done a good job across a lot of their applications with doing that and making the transition from device to device, and the experience is the same. So that's big. What else? So we've got it's faster, and there's more security involved with the new site. So faster, most of the page now is created in the web browser, whereas on a classic SharePoint, it's basically created on the server. So that allows us to basically deploy the content much faster. It's also more secure. So the classic, basically you can drop lots of scripting on a page, and we all know that anytime we introduce scripting on a page, you can get yourself into trouble. So with a modern, a little bit more secure, everyone can still find ways to drop in types of scripts, but it's definitely more secure with a modern UI. Configuration, much easier, as we'll see. So we're going to go through some of these slides here, and then I'll stop showing slides and actually get in to show you some of the sites that I've configured, and bounce around and actually see some of the things we're talking about. So good to know that. And then another big piece, Microsoft Teams. So many of you, hopefully some of you know, maybe not everyone, Teams, very, very popular application now with Microsoft. So it's resonating, it's growing like gangbusters in terms of usage. And so basically every Microsoft team, when you actually build a Microsoft team, you get a SharePoint site. And it's basically using the modern UI. And a team can easily be added to a modern SharePoint team site that was already created. So you can toggle back and forth. So very, very good. There's just a multitude of reasons why modern sites are just better, easier to use. And you'll see some of the embedded features later on that really drive that. And you can see that. Now, how do you get it? So basically right now, obviously the modern UI design is available in SharePoint Online, in Office 365. And it's also now available with the release of SharePoint 2019 on-prem. So you do have access to it on-prem as well. So for many of you, if many of you are probably using Office 365, or if some of you have on-prem installations of SharePoint or previous ones, you will have access to these modern UI designs in that platform. Okay, so what's new? Now, I basically, for the sake of, since we only have about 30 minutes today, I really just boiled that down to a few of the key pieces of really what's new with things that stand out with the new modern UI. So I'm going to basically talk about the SharePoint start page. I'll touch briefly on these concepts of hub, team, and communication sites. And then I'll show you some of the areas where you can do better site branding, customization. It's a lot easier, and you can make your sites better, as some of the pictures you've seen. How modern search experience, how search has changed, and search is a little bit more powerful. Touch upon that, and then I'll show you the relationship we have with the Office 365 groups and how that relates to SharePoint. So you spin up a SharePoint site, and then all of a sudden you get access to a variety of things like Teams and Planner and a OneNote notebook, and all these pieces that kind of relate to each other. A calendar that you can actually have for a specific SharePoint site. So pretty powerful stuff. So we'll go through that. All right, so we start with the SharePoint start page itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically just go through this, and I'm going to bring up and toggle toggle up my browser and bring this over and make sure that you guys can see my entire screen, which you should. So right here basically is a series of tabs that I put together, but this is the new SharePoint start page that you have. So if you basically launch up your SharePoint environment in Office 365, this is what you'll see. You can see it's a variety of information in terms of news, frequent sites, suggested sites. All these little areas are little components that you can actually build on. You can see down here on the left-hand column, you have all the ones that you are following. So you can actually follow certain sites and they will appear in your list. You see the recent ones, and there's also featured links. So this is a very easy way for you to come in, sort of start at this point. It allows you to find news from sites that you followed, or you can create new posts, right? So you can create a new post here. And this is obviously where you can also create a site. So right here, as we'll walk through, we'll talk about the teams and the communication sites. So basically, you see that right there. I'm gonna close out of that for now. All right, very powerful stuff. And then you can see within the actual, here, if you type in, click in here, you can see how the search results immediately pop up. So I won't touch upon that now. I'll get to that in a minute when we talk about the SharePoint pieces and the modern search, okay? All right, so I'm gonna go back to this right here. All right, and go to the next piece, which is the concept of hubs. So I mentioned before, there's hubs, there's teams, and there's communication sites. So a hub site, imagine the hub site as being as you design your corporate intranet, let's say. I'll show you an example of how we've done it for Advisicon. So the hub concept allows you to connect and organize sites based on projects, departments, divisions, regions, or other types of things. So I've given a picture here of how you can design an HR department can actually build a hub around all the various elements or sites that are all interrelated. So the powerful thing about hub sites is that it gives you the ability to have a shared navigation across the entire hub. You can roll up content. You have the search capability across the entire hub, and it basically provides like a home destination for the entire thing. So again, you imagine the intranet Advisicon, the way we have ours, and I'll bring ours up as an example. You can see that. All right, so if I toggle back again and bring this up, basically, oops, 1 second. Okay, there we go. So right here, we have our Advisicon, how we have our hub basically built. So here's our Vault hub. This is basically our home page that we have here within our SharePoint site. So you can see across this, you have all different types of divisions, departments are built. Within this, you have lots of funny pictures, quick links, access to all variety of information, news, Yammer, feeds, I mean, everything you can imagine, profiles. So, and you can actually go across all these departments, have their own separate ways of viewing information. So that's the hub site, basically how that concept works. Okay, let's go ahead and back to this. Okay, oops. Okay. Oops. Sorry about that. 1 second, I'm gonna pull the presentation back up again. Okay. One of the dangers of toggling back and forth. Okay, so team sites. And team sites, what we have here is team sites are a way for you to basically serve as a collaboration hub. So these, again, are all connected to Office 365 groups. Here's an example of one of the actual team sites we have here. With the team sites, we have the ability to, there's a variety of things here now. We have actually news and quick links and document libraries, obviously, which you have in the classic view. But with team sites, you have a lot more flexibility now in terms of customizing the site, specifying logos, colors, themes, site headers, and navigation. So a variety of ways we can do this. Communication sites, on the other hand, are ways for you to really push out a lot of information. So you want to publish information. Let's say a marketing department has a lot of information you want to actually make visible. So this is where it allows you to pick from 3 different types of templates, which I'll show you in terms of topic showcase or even starting from blank templates. So these are, it's a different type of vehicle that allows you to basically post lots of highly visual information that you want to get out there in front of your folks. Whereas the team sites are more of a collaboration place where all the teams can collaborate on a specific project. So we have within teams, we create team sites, and then we have SharePoint sites that we have for specific teams. So across our departments, we will do that. All right, so what else? So we have basically better site branding. We have the ability to, with actually 8 new themes, you can see some of the theming here that they have available with the modern look. There's actually a theme generator, which I'm going to basically show you in a minute. And again, we have the ability to customize all these headers, footers, logos, you name it. There's a lot of better ways to basically brand and customize your site right there. And then we'll talk about search and how search is basically very powerful. I'll run through that. So let's actually toggle back here and go back to that page and actually bring that up for you. So basically, I want to show you, this is a SharePoint team site that I customized for the sake of today. And you can see I've customized the colors. Probably they look very different from the Advisicon brand. So forgive me, Amanda, but I'm using here as an example to display the Boston Bruins that are currently in the Stanley Cup finals. And so I decided to build a little team page, team site page around the Boston Bruins. So you can see, again, you see the ability to have news and quick links, your document library, posting specific activity and articles here about that very well. In terms of being able to go in here and actually modify and make changes, very easy. You can actually go in here and change the look right here. We'll give you the option to modify your themes. You have the different themes you can choose from. So if I wanted to, I could actually just go and save that theme and see how it dynamically changes as you do it. Orange, a variety of things you can do there, right? So there's that, and you can save that. Then you can actually go in and you can, time to save. Then you actually can go back in again and you can change things like the header. So I want to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and customize the logo. Or I'm going to change this to a compact view. So you can use this to swap out the logo. You can actually change the background colors as well. So a variety, much more flexibility you have at the user level to be able to make changes to your site. You can also call out here that with Teams, you have the ability to, right here, when this actually got created, this actually created a SharePoint team. So this is actually, I'm going to go ahead and it's going to launch, and I'm going to basically bring this over and show you. This is the actual team that got built as a function of creating this new modern SharePoint site right here. So very flexible, a lot of ability to go back and forth, a lot of functionality built into the sites. Okay. What else? And in terms of theming, I wanted to show you, so I showed you how you can actually change the look and designs. There is also a tool that Microsoft offers called Theme Generator. So if any of you are interested in finding out where this location is, actually the URL is copied right here. So it's available right here. If any of you want to screen grab this while you're on the call, feel free. But here you can actually go in here and you have the ability to specify, derive your own types of colors. It produces all types of scripting information that you can grab. So you can actually use this tool as a means to create custom themes. They have things, elevations, they have iconography right here. So all types of ways. So a really powerful way for you to create your own custom theme, which you can then load into these sites. So the same way where I was actually in there modifying the site using the default themes, you can work with your SharePoint administrator and actually deploy custom themes for your organization. So very useful to know. Okay, I want to go back and revisit these team sites and actually revisit the search capability right here. So basically within this, you have the ability to quickly, this is one of the big changes from in search, is much more powerful. You actually, once you click in there, you're starting to get recommendations within your SharePoint site in terms of where you go. And some of that is based on recent activity or things that may be of interest to you. But as soon as you start typing in other types of information, it will start to try and derive. Now, this is probably a bad one because we have, let me go in here and do this one. Let's do a SharePoint site here, like this one, for example. Let's see what comes up here. Whoops, I'm choosing a bad one. Let's go back here to the SharePoint home, and we'll try a different SharePoint site. And this will give you an idea of when you're loading in search, it will give you a whole series of results. Connection is a little bit slow today, sorry about that. It doesn't want to behave, here we go. So you can actually go in here and select different types of things, and it's actually going to go ahead and start to generate lots of information as you type. So it'll give you ones that come up immediately, and then you can actually give the option to share more results, and we'll load all those. So a lot of information here that you can load. So search has become a lot more powerful with all this. Okay, what else? So when you create a SharePoint site, actually, you can see that one of the powerful things is with the actual creation of Office 365 groups, the association with those sites. So what you see here is when you pull this up, and I actually will show you an email, so you can get an email basically right here that says, when I created this SharePoint site, this actually gets constructed, and you actually get an invitation. So this creates a group in Outlook tied to the Office 365 group. And within that, you now have the ability to have a variety of things at your disposal. You have conversations, you have files available, you have a specific calendar that's now tied to the SharePoint site that you built. So actually it's going to load up a calendar. Okay, I'm going to go back. Come on. My connection is really slow today, I apologize. Okay, so we have file, you have calendar, you have a link to a OneNote notebook. You can see the OneNote notebook load. You can close that. You have the ability to have a planner board that's actually constructed. So as you build this modern UI SharePoint site, the planner board gets built. And so I built this planner board before, and actually you can see right now the various tasks around the webinar. So you have that. And then you have, obviously, you have the actual link to the SharePoint site itself. So all these interconnected pieces, basically, with your modern SharePoint site, really it fosters a lot of team collaboration across the board for all your things, and basically have access and be able to bounce back and forth between all these pieces and do it. So pretty powerful. So again, they're all backed by the Office 365 suite. So you have the Exchange calendar, the mailbox, the OneNotes, the planners, and more. So allows you to really go back and forth. So pretty powerful. All right, I've got about 5 minutes left before we have to wrap up. So I know I've bounced through a lot of information on the webinar today, but I wanted to see, Amanda, if any questions have come in so far, and if there's anything that we could talk about.
Great. Yeah, we have a few here. So
Okay.
I'll kick it off with this one. It says, do you need to be the site owner to change the design?
No, actually, I am not a site owner, so I am just a regular schmo here at Advisicon with respect to this site that I built up. So I'm able to go in there and make edits. I can edit the actual this actual page here, or I can go into these settings and I can go ahead and if we had unique site designs constructed, I can actually load them there. But all these options are available to me. So you don't have to be an admin to be able to manipulate this whole site. So that's one of the powerful things about this change, is that no longer are you at the mercy of admins or graphic designers. You can actually do a lot of this stuff yourself.
Great. And then we have just a couple clarifying questions around that. So your ability to customize this view, is this a personal view, or is this how everyone views SharePoint?
So actually, when you actually get the information right here, there is a personal component. So you actually see things that are unique to you. So you can actually you have a way to construct the site the way that people will actually see certain things, but there's going to be personal elements or personal components in terms of content that's posted that could be unique to you. So it's kind of a mixture of both.
Mm-hmm. With all the new images, is it easy to build for 508 compliance?
508 compliance. You know what? I'm not familiar with 508 compliance, so that'll be a question that I take offline and respond to.
Yeah, and I just want to note, if this is your first time in our webinars, if we're unable to get to your question, if we run out of time, or if we need to follow up because it's more in depth, we will reach out to you directly. So at this time, if you have a more personalized question or something that you know will need a longer explanation, feel free to drop those in and we will reach out to you directly via email. So we'll move on to the next one here. It says, when you create a Teams SharePoint and then create a Teams group from the SharePoint, does the team take over the permission management of the SharePoint site, or is there a way of having SharePoint control the permissions?
Permissioning is permissions across SharePoint is always that's always there's a lot of permissions and custom settings that you can make. So permissions, it's a matter of going into what scenario you're going to want to have. So whether you're setting the permissions for the actual SharePoint site and adding members. So when you go in and let me see, go in here, I'll show you. So obviously with any of these sites, you can specify the members that are part of this group. So when I built this yesterday, I just basically added a couple owners with that. So you're able to obviously restrict, because these are all basically little site collections, you're able to go ahead and really set up permissions the way you want them. So you can restrict content and people from certain sites across your SharePoint site and your team site. So it's really, there's a lot of flexibility and a lot of power with permissioning. Across Microsoft, usually out of the box, they do a pretty good job of setting up the permissions that are right. But it's not that difficult to get in there and actually modify permissions, or if there's more comfort level working with your admins to do that.
Awesome. And then we're coming to the end, so I'll take this one last question. It says, does my whole company need to switch over to Modern for me to use Modern if they're still on Classic?
That is, there's a variety of ways where you can migrate certain classic, migrate from classic to modern UI experience. In terms of the global and being able to do that at a global level, that is something I'll have to follow up on and get you guys an answer. So not 100% sure about that component.
Great. Well, we're out of time. So thank you everyone for attending today's webinar. We welcome your questions and feedback, and for more information, you can email us at contact@advisicon.com. Once you exit today's webinar, you will receive a survey on the presentation. You will need to complete and submit this survey to receive your PDUs. From there, you will receive a follow-up email within 2 business days with your PDU information. If you're watching this recording on YouTube or another social media platform, please be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future uploads. And on behalf of Advisicon, Richard, and myself, we thank you for joining us today and hope to see you to participate in our future webinars. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Take care now.